Okay, we're going to call to order this meeting of the Utility Committee, and it's going to be my voice that you're hearing most of tonight because Lynn has lost his voice. It's very quiet,
The
so
tail end of a cold, so,
I said I would take over and do it, and he'll give me a poke if I do it. I hope.
got the gavel, got the gavel.
Okay. Not on my head, though, please. Okay, so the first order of business would be public comment.
Pledge of
I
allegiance.
don't
Pledge
see-
of allegiance.
Oh, I thought that came next. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And then Martha, we had two absent tonight, two full-time
Yes.
members absent. So John,
Yes, we-
John Ferrara is absent, and I'd like to appoint Ray to vote for John.
Okay,
And Jeff McGowan's absent, and I'd like to appoint John Mann to vote for Jeff.
okay, great. Thank
It's
you.
all yours.
And I would just say, since it's time for public comment, I would like to thank all the officers that were involved in the terrible incident that happened in Londonderry the other night. I can't imagine what those officers are feeling. I can't imagine what their families are feeling, and I feel sorry for the victim who lost his life as well. But I just wanted to say that publicly. Okay, the first thing would be public comment. Anybody else? I see no one in the room, so we'll close public comment. If anybody comes, we'll open it back up at the end of our meeting. The first administrative matter would be the approval of minutes. John Ferrera did send the minutes to everybody. I've read them. Has everyone else taken a look at those?
I have to say, I think it's a little silly to put a little punch card time as to when we arrived. I realized I arrived at 7:06.
Well,
And that seemed to be a
Okay.
major disaster.
No, the only
So
reason
I'm
for
just
that,
wondering if we really, let me just finish.
I ju-
I'm just wondering if we really have to, point at exactly when people come in
will-
or leave.
I'll respond to that.
Okay.
The reason why that happens is because if you're not here when the meeting starts, as Lynn just did tonight, he appoints somebody to vote for you.
Right.
So if you come into the meeting and we say that, okay, now you're here, you're voting for yourself now again.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
so
but
that's to
kind of
let,
obvious, isn't it?
no,
I mean,
because
no.
not everybody's watching, or, it's for the benefit of the minutes, if people read the minutes. They're,
Okay, it just seems so.
I mean,
a
it's-
little overkill, but okay.
No.
I mean, they don't even do that in the United States Senate. Well, Senator Danforth, you got here 6 minutes late.
but
Well, there were Robert's rules, and then, there are us, we don't necessarily, do we? Have to follow Robert's rules?
We don't.
No.
We
No, no, so,
But
if it really bothers you, we could probably knock that out of there.
And I just want to reiterate to everybody, the meeting starts at 7,
Yeah, we got
and I do expect people to be here at 7 o'clock, so.
So, that's the only reason, because somebody has been appointed to vote in your
get
place.
demerit.
You're not, it's not a demerit. It shouldn't be even taken as an insult. I'm sorry
I just think it's a
if it
little
was
overkill.
taken that way. Okay, so let's get back to the approval of the minutes, since we have not voted on that. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from the February meeting? Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. So that was, Paul made the motion and Ray seconded.
Yep.
Okay, now,
All in favor?
number 2, we really can't do tonight.
You gotta vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
gotta
All
vote.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions?
Unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, so then the next matter on the agenda was discussions with staff, and we do not have any town staff with us tonight, so we'll go over that. The master plan status would be me, and we are looking into completing the chapter or trying to complete the chapter on housing. I had to leave early that night. Do you have anything else that happened that night that,
My only comment on the last master plan steering committee meeting is there's just a lot of data that has to be looked at.
Lot of-
And I think it's very optimistic that will be done this year.
yeah, okay.
So that's
And
my
I-
only
I
thoughts with
agree
that.
Did you want to say anything about the bill that you sent around that was passed in terms of the housing bill that was passed? You sent it around, I think.
So, I'm not prepared to say anything, but, so I did send an email out to everybody talking about a House bill that was approved through the Senate, hasn't been approved by the governor as of yet. Talking about some incentives, some tax incentives for
Solar,
energy efficiency projects
yes.
being put into multifamily housing situations. And Ron, I don't know what, if anything, you can offer on that. I did invite Doug
Yeah,
Thomas
the-
to talk to us
Doug
about
is
that.
definitely the expert on that. That's his committee. But that actually did go through the House, went through the Senate, and Kelly signed it.
She did sign it.
okay.
So it was a bipartisan effort in the House on a voice vote, and the Senate a voice vote. So it was a bipartisan bill to help housing.
Yep.
And it was supposed to clean up the previous bills or something? Was there some confusion over that?
I am not an expert on the bill, so I don't want to pretend to be. But I do know that it went through, everybody wanted it, so, and she signed it right away.
Okay, well, I read part of the bill, there's
Yeah.
a lot to digest. I agree, you probably agree too.
Yeah.
And, it would be nice if Doug could come to our meeting.
Okay.
Lynn did invite you and Doug to come. If you can relay to Doug, since you might see him more frequently than we do, it would be great for him to come and talk to us about that bill.
Absolutely.
It's very
I'll see
interesting.
Doug Thursday. I'll ask him to come
Yeah,
next meeting in April.
And I prefaced the invitation with, I know it was short notice. And so, if he can come at our next meeting, if he
Yeah.
couldn't make it tonight, to come to our
Yeah.
next meeting.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the next matter is our 2025 goals and objectives. So,
So did everybody see the spreadsheet that I sent out
Yes.
along with the agenda last week? So I did get a little bit of feedback on that. And what I would like you to do is take a look at all of the, everybody please take a look at the line items, edit it where it's needed, embellish where it's needed, edit, delete where it's needed, get back to me, and then we'll vote on it at our next meeting. And I think that's what we're going to do going forward. I think right now the list is pretty complete, and I think we have some good projects ahead of us, so.
we certainly do.
Are we talking about that one there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And some of those we've accomplished, but not all. There's still several open items. Okay. Then I guess I'll go to our subcommittee discussions, if there's nothing else you have to add to that, okay?
Nope, nope.
If anybody, does anybody not have this? No, everybody has that. Okay, so we'll just go off of that then. So the first committee would be energy. And,
So speaking for the Energy Subcommittee, I did send out a master plan outline, and I have started getting comments back on the outline. And I think once we have the outline agreed upon, which I think is pretty close, we'll just start taking some action items to fill in the blanks. I don't think it has to be volumes of words. It's just really the direction that we want to see the town going in with energy usage, energy procurement, and, whatever the case may be for the next few years.
I ask a question in that regard. I believe we got some grant money for a study, or even, I think Eversource would even maybe do another study.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Do we know what the status of those are?
So we can talk about that right now. So the energy audit, Paul, do you want to brief us on where we're at with the energy audit? That would be the Eversource energy audit.
Right, we have worked with Eversource, and we have JDS Associates Engineering and Consultants who are authorized by Eversource to come into the town to look at the town buildings, and we're looking to coordinate with the Public Works directors to make that happen. So,
Is there any cost?
no, not for the initial study. They will then come back with a list of recommendations. In those recommendations, you typically see a list of items that could save the town energy costs, so forth and so on. They'll also give you an idea if there are rebates associated with those initiatives, and they'll also give you an idea of what the payback will be for each initiative, so you can prioritize them the way you would like to see them. If you want to prioritize them based on payback.
Is this part of Energy Saves?
Hampshire
I
Saves.
think that's part of the program, right. But I call it energy efficiency, Eversource energy efficiency is what I call it.
Yeah. My only concern to that is that the cost of that goes on to the other ratepayers, does it not?
In everyone's electric bill today, my understanding is that there's a line item on your electric bill called a systems benefit charge. So you are billed for that amount of money. That amount of money is then set aside for a variety of reasons, one of which is this program to fund it and to provide rebates to use electricity more efficient.
Thank you.
So if the town doesn't use it, it goes someplace else.
Well, it could go to another town, or,
That's correct.
Have they been in contact with somebody at the town, do you know?
We've been working with the Public Works Director. The last time we had, it was a bunch of storms that occurred here recently.
Correct,
It
correct.
was a little busy, so we're gonna
Yeah.
circle back and see if it's a more appropriate time to.
Oh, okay, that's great. And then he would be able to fill in the blanks of what's already been done
Yeah,
as well.
typically they bring in their engineers and their consultants, and there'd be a walk-around tour through all the facilities of the town. Questions will be asked, how old the infrastructure, how old the equipment, HVAC systems, all these kinds of due diligence
Yes,
items.
yes,
And then they'll go back and they'll generate the report and make recommendations.
okay. Sounds good.
Is there gonna be a phase 2 to look at the schools? We talked about that a couple meetings ago.
We talked about it, there's no initiatives right now to go into the school system to do that. We said, let's try the town first.
Right,
and
see
then
how it
and
goes.
see how it goes and see where we go next.
Okay,
I think they did say that the schools have to be their own advocate for this program.
That is
So-
correct.
But we'll give them whatever information we can share with them, that will be done.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, certainly the results of the audit, I think, will be very
If it turns
beneficial.
out to be a
Yeah.
winning proposition, then they may be interested in
Yep.
what
That's
we have
right,
to offer.
absolutely.
And I think it will be.
Lead by example.
Yeah.
If I could go back to the first bullet on the energy master plan.
Sure.
I'm just a little concerned that, we're gonna dig hard in that hole and try to fit into a town master plan that we don't even have an outline for to know where or how we fit in. Do you know anything about their sort of overall plan of how they're pulling this together?
So maybe the best way to answer that would be to go look at the Goffstown master plan and see how they did it in Goffstown. That's Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission did that for Goffstown.
right.
And that's kind of what their vision is for how the master plan in Londonderry is going to come together as well. Very different from our last master plan. Yeah, very different, and very, I don't want to say action-oriented, but, it's going to be things that, implementable items, actionable items coming out of it. But I think the best thing to do would be to take a look at that. And I think that's one of the frustrations with the master plan at this point in time, is we still lack a little bit of clarity on how it's going to be put together and what it's going to look like in its finished form.
And we're hoping to flush that out in, our next meetings, that
Yep.
we get a better idea of what the chapters are gonna be, what order they're going to be done in. Hopefully zero in on our old master plan and see what we have there, what's really been accomplished, and to discuss that so we know where we're at, now.
My main concern is that as we work on the energy master plan, that we not waste our time duplicating work, gathering data that's gonna be done in some other part of the town master plan.
Can I suggest
Yes.
something?
And, okay, I agree, yes.
No, go ahead. No, go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say, I do think that that's part of the input that this committee will give toward that master plan.
Yep.
I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of influence on what is actually said. We're not going to, the master plan is going to be a, overall picture of where we think we want to head. It's not gonna get into nitty-gritty details. They've kind of told us that. So, in terms of zoning regulations for solar and stuff like that, that's going to still fall with the planners in town, with recommendations from us. If we feel, okay, we need this now, we wanna see this, then we'll go to that department and we'll say, this is what we recommend, through the town council, I guess, but that would be, we have a lot of, input into influencing where we want to head in these various categories of our subcommittees for the future.
I think I heard two different things. I heard Lynn talking about the plan being, emphasizing affordable, executable, actions. And I heard you saying, no, it's gonna be more of a big picture. So, and maybe I'm asking for something that hasn't been decided yet, but, I hope we can get this sorted out before.
Okay, what I see the difference in that is I see us coming up with goals that are executable within, let's say, this coming year, what we can get done. But I think my vision of the master plan is it's looking at the town going into the future.
Right.
Do you not see that?
Nope.
Oh,
I do.
okay.
And, right now, one of the focuses is on land use and zoning regulations, of which we can influence solar. That's gonna be one of the recommendations, is that we develop a solar ordinance. Housing and affordable housing, and housing diversity is gonna be a big focus of the master plan as well as business development. There, if you look back at the old master plan, Mike, there was very minimal wording, minimal language provided for water, municipal water, for energy. And what we're really trying to do, in my opinion, is we're trying to bridge that gap from what it was in 2013 to something that, what are we seeing 5 years out, 10 years out, but something that fits in with the other components of the master plan that are being put together.
Right, and that's the basis of my concern.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah. It's, I think it's our concern too.
yeah,
And it's
I
just, but,
understand.
it's all gonna come down to Londonderry and what we as a citizenry can afford and how much money can we get from outside sources to make things happen. We hope we can get.
This, if I might say, it seems though, and as far as the master plan, which I'm not part of, but the main focus seems to have been on housing, which is fine, because that's an issue, okay? But I'm just wondering, with this bill that Ron was just saying what passed, can that be influential in the builders coming to Londonderry to build not only energy efficient building, but also affordable? Is there anything in that would entice a builder to come to Londonderry and build anything other than what they've been building so far?
There is.
Yes.
There is
I
enticement.
agree.
I'm just not an expert on exactly what it is, but there is enticements in there, yes.
Yeah. Because there's been some developers come forward, like up on Rockingham Road, that came forward with some actually affordable housing, reasonable. The trouble is, it was really the wrong location.
Right.
Because of traffic and everything.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So we certainly need affordable housing. And, you know,
Well, yeah,
and
we'd like to meet the needs of everybody, but that's, I don't know if we will be able to achieve
we're never
that.
gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and we have to be realistic about that.
Yeah, and just one other thing, we're talking here, I mean, I think we, on these committees, subcommittees, utility committee, can have some influence on the master plan,
Absolutely.
you know, within reason. I mean, we're not gonna tell them what to do, but, we can certainly
Well, we
throw
have-
some thoughts in there.
We have major sections in this committee right now that are definitely gonna be part of the master plan. They have to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, unfortunately, they didn't start the master plan with water. They started with housing, so right now, we're gonna go with that and then see what these chapters, how they're gonna fall.
Well, okay.
We hope they fall out the way we'd like them to.
We'll influence them the way we can.
As much as we can, we will
Well-
influence them.
You folks on the master plan have great chance to have great influence on
I hope so.
what happens going forward. Thank you.
You know what, if I share Mike's concern, because the master plan is kind of blurry. And one thing you should be aware of is that housing is only one of, I think, 9 topics and,
At least, yeah.
that we have on there. So I think my opinion is that the influence of committees like this and of other committees, for example, I'm on Heritage, and
Yep.
we have some self-interest. We were grossly underrepresented in the 2013 master plan. So I think the influence is going to be within each category. So maybe we have a big housing section and a smaller section of that is solar. Okay, that's sort of the influence that we have. Or there's a section that talks about the folks from the survey, that folks in the town like the historical stuff in town, for
Yeah.
want of a better word. Well, that's Heritage's ballpark, and you know, do we try to influence the town to perhaps pay more attention to that financially and otherwise? Okay, so, but it's all still very blurry.
Correct.
As far as I'm concerned, we're about 15% into the whole master plan thing. So to know exactly what we should be doing as a subcommittee is tough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll have
What
to
are
wait.
the other topics? What are the other, 8 topics besides housing?
I don't have the list with me.
Oh, okay. Good. I was
I
just
think
wondering.
they're listed on the town website under the Master Plan Steering Committee's page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
I was,
and there's the old master plan too that you can look at.
oh, no, I've seen that.
Yeah, well, basically, similar topics, I think,
As the old one?
as the old one.
So
Similar.
I thought it was gonna be, okay, similar to Goffstown, new one? So it's not gonna be similar to the Goffstown master plan?
It's not gonna be 85 pages or whatever the old one was.
The other one was pretty big.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that.
Yeah, it's,
It's not gonna be that.
Right.
Or at least that's the desire.
There were recommendations made in the back of the master plan
Right.
as to what should be moved forward. Some was, some wasn't.
Yep, and things change. We're not gonna relitigate that, but things change, and that's the whole idea, is to have this as a living document. Can change with the times, right?
right, and hopefully it's gonna be
used.
followed and gonna be updated regularly. and
More regularly.
More regularly than it was, absolutely. Okay, so the next thing is, I think we discovered the energy audit. The grant, is there anything more with the grant, Mike?
The short answer is no. I did see on one of the news feeds that I get that the EPA is planning to let go 75% of their personnel, and that a significant chunk of that is in the state and local programs office, which is the office that administers the grant that we think we got.
Oh,
So I'm not particularly optimistic about movement anytime soon, if ever. But
Okay.
Well, they did, I was reading about that actually today and talking to folks. The new administrator said that he didn't mean, he said 65% of the personnel was gonna be cut across the country. And then he said, oh, it's not really personnel that we're cutting, we're talking about, saving money, so I don't
yeah,
know.
it's,
It's pretty hard it's gonna be hard for them to cut people who are not on probation, because you have to go through the civil service process, but maybe they'll just skip that civil service process.
and so, it's gonna be litigated, which,
Yeah.
which only adds
Right.
additional
more time.
delay.
The time.
We'll have to see.
Yep.
But wasn't that money earmarked for Londonderry?
Yes.
Yes.
Doesn't make
It was
any
earmarked,
difference, right?
but I don't, remember, that money doesn't come to us. It comes to an organization that provides the service to us. I don't believe that the money has been obligated to that provider of the service, which could put us in peril.
Right.
Yep, lots of unknowns at this point in
Yeah.
time. Lots of unknowns.
Um,
And just on community choice aggregation, just no movement on that. We're just waiting. We'll be in a holding pattern for a few months until we get closer to the August rate statement coming out of Eversource. Right, August?
Yeah, the next rate change will be August. There'll be hearings in the springtime. Some of the discussion going on that I'm aware of was all of these rates are forecast.
Yep.
I'm not sure they forecasted the coldest winter in 15 years. So there'll be some interesting dynamics when that pops up. But having said that, there's a lot of months to go still. And we'll
Yep.
see where it takes.
Yep.
We're projecting 50-degree weather, the next few days. So we'll see what happens.
Another,
That's not gonna solve it, Paul.
another sort of external factor that probably will affect this work, if it's true, I read today that Eversource is getting ready to ask for about a 40% increase in the transmission tariff, which doesn't affect, in theory, doesn't affect us because we're dealing with the energy side, not the
Right.
transmission side. However, the John EQ public, when he sees a big jump in his electric bill, and, I thought you guys were working on this, it's not gonna help us.
That'll be a communication challenge, yes.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Okay, then, anything else on energy, anyone?
Nope.
No. Okay, then we move on to water. And Jeff McGraw and John Ferrer are not with us tonight. And Jeff said he was gonna send me an email, which he just sent just now. So, I'm just gonna read what he's sent to me. Headwater meeting, discuss data collection. So John and Jeff are working with Pennachuck and trying to get information of, without making any commitments for the town, on behalf of the town of Londonderry, but to find out, at least get the data and information to, if they were to build out a plan, what would be the way it should go and the most economical for the community. And that is still being worked on. Presentation ideas for most people.
Is that in terms of the infrastructure?
It's, yes, that would be,
Plan,
the plan would be that if we were to move our town to a municipal water.
Right.
So, for everyone, that would be what we're the information that we're trying to see.
get from
Because
them how long it would
the-
take and
the-
what roads to
Yes,
do.
the long-term plan would be which, which areas are the best to start the project and grow off of the project. We know that, we know that we have water in certain parts of town, so
Right.
yes, that's what
Gotcha.
that would be. We're now in March, we will be contacting Pennachuck regarding build-out options, when we talked about that. Then, the other thing that we've discussed in our water subcommittee is that Weston and Sampson did a plan for the town of Londonderry, I think back in 2022. And but I'm not sure who sponsored it, how it got done, but it did get done, and it was quite, had quite a lot of information. And so we need some feedback also from the town at this point, because I don't know how closely Weston and Sampson, when they did that report, worked with Pennachuck, or they were doing their own kind of engineering, hypothetical engineering, whatever. But I think that we have to get information from the town at this point of, are we still looking at that plan seriously? And is that the plan we should be thinking of to move out into the future? And the only thing that's really changed from the time that they did that plan is the idea of the water line coming down High Range Road. So that may make some changes to the plan, but basically, there's a lot more than just that area of town that Weston and Sampson looked at, so we'll have to look and get some feedback from the town about what their ideas are on that report, and is that still where we're going? Jeff says that we're gonna be inviting Pennachuck to come to the next utility meeting,
Oh, great,
so.
awesome,
I just found that out now.
awesome.
And he's still very interested in the, any kind of presentation that anybody wants to do, a video presentation. I've talked to some other members on the committee, and we maybe should write some articles that go into the newspaper. I don't know. I think most people read the Londonderry Times because it comes free to all homes. But the Derry News is also a periodical available to the people in Londonderry. If you didn't want to do a public video, I think, if
Or
you
can
could.
do both.
Pardon?
can always do
Both, oh,
yeah.
definitely, I'm saying, I'm
Yeah,
definitely
it's a good
saying both.
idea.
But aside from the videos, I think articles to the newspaper, and I don't see any reason why they would be rejected. I mean, they would just be, what we're doing, what's important, what we're looking into as a committee. Is that okay?
Well, let me just mention that the Derry News did do a series of articles on PFAS.
They did.
Yeah, and maybe the thing to do is to chat with Deb, and I'm not sure who it was that did it, whether it was Alex or somebody else at the paper who did the article, but I'll be glad to talk to them about that.
Okay, well, that would be good, and,
And we can always
find out.
also do the video. There is a new, I sent a note out to some of you guys about a new book that's coming out.
Yeah. I did see that.
It's a pretty intense title.
That is an important message that I think we have to get out about the PFAS. I think
Were you
the
thinking
other,
about the Utilities
just,
Committee and what the Utilities Committee is doing, or?
yeah, that basically, and yeah, exactly, what we're doing, and about the issue, and just, I mean, the idea behind these videos, these articles, is education.
Right.
And we've talked about in the sewer and solid waste, we've talked about several things that are very important in terms of the town. And, for example, just to give you an example, all of our trash is done by weight. And so we've tried to get people through Facebook and other means to, like, look at their recycling. Like, I've been weighing my recycling. I get, I fill my bag and then I weigh my bag, and so I know that, 2 times I've emptied it, it's 9 pounds. That's a lot. So something like that, and also doing the same with composting. And just figuring out how much as a community are we creating and bringing to either recycling or landfills or whatever. So,
Couldn't the recycling folks give us those numbers? Couldn't the company who picks up the recycling in town give us those numbers?
No,
no, I don't,
They
not
don't
on a
have-
household level, not on a household level.
right.
No, I wasn't thinking on a household level, I was thinking on a town level.
Oh, for the weight,
Right.
maybe.
Well,
I
we
mean,
could
we should
definitely-
be able to get the numbers
Yeah.
from
We could
those
definitely
guys.
look into
Um,
this.
They
If we're
have to
paying by
measure.
pound, I think they
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they know.
Right,
What I'm going to suggest, because I think there's a lot of things that we've been talking about for the possibilities for the cable and for articles in the paper. There are 11 of us, full and alternate. Should we maybe each take and champion a month where it's our responsibility to come up with a topic and 15-minute video for the cable and an article for the paper, or
Yeah.
a letter to the editor at least, for the paper. That way, we can, utilities committee will be out there on a regular basis, and we'll be putting these out there. If we want to do more, we could do more, but at least we're kind of committing ourselves to that
Yeah,
once a month.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, but I think that it should be done through the subcommittees.
yeah, each
And-
that's a
and,
good idea, each subcommittee.
That way you have, if you have to collect data or whatever to do your article, you have a few other people to help you.
Sure,
And
yeah.
to, that would just be my suggestion to that. But I think it's a good idea to do it monthly, and I think it's a good idea to start doing it. So, is that something that we would want to vote on? I don't know, or maybe not now.
That's a consensus item.
Yeah, I think a consensus item, and I can send out in email, and people can respond to me individually, so we don't have to worry about anything, any of the shaming going on. Just if you're interested in doing it, what you'd be interested in doing.
Yep.
And then if you come back to me positively, then we'll put you on the hook.
For what it's worth, the Conservation Commission has an occasional series, it's called. It's always, the title up at top is Conservation Matters, and then there's a title for that particular article. And then we just do it whenever, we used to alternate with the trash and recycle group. And, just always have something, it's just the same model, and in fact, we could perhaps even incorporate that, working with Deb and have, every second month is utility, every other month
That's
is
great.
the conservation, or, we can figure out, just so that we always have something in front of people, and then come up with a tagline like Conservation Matters for our stuff, the utility of it, or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's
Right.
great.
Yeah, I think that that's an important thing to do, and,
I do notice that they often cover. I mean, they usually cover our meetings, and it's usually
do.
an article in the paper every single time after our meetings.
they do.
So somebody is reviewing tapes and writing an article, which is helpful.
That is helpful. That is helpful. But I think that there's, like, one of the things we had spoken about too, and I'm probably stepping on toes, so I'm gonna stop.
You know what, before you, the only thing I would say is, I think it's a good idea, Martha, about having the individual contributions reviewed at the subcommittee level, lest, God forbid, one of us fly way off on a wing that puts something out there that perhaps wouldn't represent the overall views of the committee, and
Absolutely.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think it should go through that kind of review process, and I think we should run it by our chairman. That's the way I think it should go.
And everything needs to be edited and reviewed just for
Absolutely.
grammar and
Yeah,
everything else.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. And, you know, the other thing that, you know, why I bring this up is with the videos, and all of this. Facebook, our Facebook page, I don't know how much, what do you call it, travel we're getting on our page or whatever. I don't know how many go to that page and look at it. I do think a lot of people go to the Londonderry, New Hampshire page, which I usually try to copy to as well when I'm doing something, or Londonderry Moms, you know, some things that are, you know, that just pop up on everybody's Facebook. But I think that other ways, even if we had a meeting, I want to get the public involved and hear about it, and it's very hard to think of ways to do that, you know, within this community. I don't know how many people are watching or listening or reading for that matter, but as much as we can push out there to maybe hit, you know, some people, that's a good thing.
I just wanted to say that in the past, some of the town councilors came to the library for a public session. Ron could probably tell us something about that, but, and I'm suggesting, you know, maybe the utility committee or a subcommittee might want to put it in the paper that on Thursday evening, we're having, wait a
Right.
minute, maybe not Thursday, but whatever.
Or even
At a particular
our meeting.
time, you know, we're gonna be discussing utility issues.
Yeah.
Or water issues, sewer issues, waste issues, whatever. Invite the general public to come. I've also suggested, by the way, to the current town manager, that perhaps we think about having something maybe at the high school cafeteria where we invite not only us, but some other folks, maybe including even some state reps. But then again, I'm just throwing that out there. In other words, give the general public an opportunity
An
to come
opportunity to come.
and ask questions or just,
We kind of do that the
Yeah.
first Tuesday of every month. Yeah, I mean, so we'd have to do something
Right.
different.
well,
We have to do
yeah,
something more, and maybe that something more is that for this meeting, for example, it's put on the town website that, you know, we have this. But I really don't know how many people are going to that website, looking at it and saying, oh, that's a meeting I really want to attend. And so maybe if we had it in the paper,
yes.
you know, instead of putting it just on the town website, say, hypothetically, let's just say we invited our representatives and our senator to come speak to us about issues relating to what all of our subcommittees deal with, because they do deal with that on the state level as well.
I
And
do,
we-
instead
and-
of doing all the subcommittees, do it subcommittee by subcommittee, because energy is a pretty big issue, water is a
No,
pretty big issue.
I'm not saying talk to us about everything. I'm saying we should pick a specific topic that
Right.
we want them to come and talk to us about, so they know what to prepare for too. But to come and talk to us, and we put that in the paper so people know, oh, wow, that's an opportunity to talk to
So
our
let's just
representatives.
try it.
Yeah, let's-
Pick a topic, put it in the paper.
Right.
See what happens.
yep,
And I guess I would suggest instead of doing it in the evening on a weekday, I think you're gonna get more people on a weekend when people are not working and they've just come home from work. I can just tell you, when we would hold public meetings or public hearings, we'd try to do it at a time that people are not working. And usually it's gonna be Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, or at 7 o'clock in the evening, like this
You
this
can,
meeting
but
is.
people are tired after coming home from
I
work
guess
and
so,
they don't
but-
really wanna go out again.
Well, I think that we should look into it
can try it.
and decide about it, because I think it's a good idea.
Oh, no, I
but-
think it's a good idea too. I'm just saying, the time makes a difference. The time of day that you do it up makes a difference.
Yeah.
To how many people you can get.
Yeah,
I think we should give it a try and see how it works out.
Yeah.
Right, right. And whatever time we pick, I mean, I don't know how, our legislators are gonna feel about using up their Saturday to come talk to all of
I
us,
think
but
they
that's,
can manage it.
well.
It's voting.
Ron, you have so much
Come
free
on,
time.
an
You have so
hour.
much free time these
They
days.
represent,
I would come anytime.
there you go.
When
So-
Okay.
politicians are up for a vote, they're allowed to show up.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Okay, moving on, with water, I don't think that I have any, so then we'll go to sewer and solid
I
waste.
just have a question
Well,
on
okay,
water.
sorry.
Did Jeff say when our meeting's gonna be?
No,
our
he did
next
not.
water committee?
No, he did not. But he has told us that it's the second Saturday after this meeting, that's when he'd like to do it, but he didn't send me a specific date. But
Okay.
I'll try to get that
Just
from him.
around.
I'll try to get that from him and get it out.
Okay.
So I'll contact Jeff. Okay, and sewer and solid waste.
We had our second meeting of the year, and kind of built on the first meeting, which was a brainstorm session. We wanted to narrow that down to some specific goals for the year for this committee. I think we ended up with a primary goal of education, and we subdivided that into 4 areas. One is composting, which I think, Martha, you've got the lead on, where we're going to look at some of the companies that are out there. Unfortunately, I think what we found is, from my conversations with particularly Bob Kerry, is that our current vendor, Waste Management, has no interest, probably for financial reasons more than any other, to do residential composting. But there are some companies out there that do that. Currently, in Londonderry, they will do residential. They do some business composting now for some select customers, and we can put together some information on those, and I think Martha's got the lead on that. We talked about septic systems and septic system education, and Ray, I believe you've got the ball on that one. And simple things like that could be informative. How to find your septic system in the backyard. There are some markers I talked about that you can put above your septic system, other than the rock that some people will use. There's some fancier things that your lawnmower won't get screwed up on when it hits it. So Ray is exploring that, among other things, around septics, because the facts are, in Londonderry right now, most of the homes are on septic systems. So
And we have a lot of new people that have moved into Londonderry that aren't really used to having a septic system. That's something new to them, so we gotta get some education out there of how to take care of it.
and that
I just wanted to say there's tons of information. New Hampshire DES on septic systems, and EPA has tons of
Yeah,
information.
there are all kinds of pamphlets available from New Hampshire DES and others
Right.
that we could
Just use.
probably get from them and somehow distribute or make available.
Yep.
There is some at the engineering department here in town, but
Downstairs,
I'm
yeah.
not sure anybody pays attention to it. So I'm going to be looking at that.
That might be a good area, Ray, we talked about the insert into the Londonderry Times, a good educational thing. And that might be something where you get younger people to read it. Frankly, pamphlets, I've thrown them on my son's desk
Oh, yeah,
a couple
yeah,
times,
yeah,
and he hasn't
yeah.
read them yet.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the acronym again? Too long not read?
Well, those are fairly short, they're not read, okay, so, but the bottom line is, you've got the ball, you come up with the topic, whether it's a video, whether it's an insert into a newspaper, whether it's pamphlets. Okay,
Yeah, there's various
figure something
ways.
out. Okay.
I hope, though, you guys don't lose sight of the septic study that we already did that identified the most vulnerable systems throughout town, and then we have to design a solution, an approach to reducing the risk from them.
Is that the 2023 environmental risk assessment?
I think so.
Yeah, it's mentioned in Ray's. Ray's got the ball. Okay. We talked about recycling. Joy's got the lead on that. What can we provide in terms of education on proper recycling? And I think I made available to the committee. I don't know if the committee's had a chance to actually play with it, but there's a great quiz that became available from Massachusetts on recycling, and it's interesting, it's snappy, it's young, it's vibrant, it's the closest thing to Jeopardy I've ever seen, okay, but it's also extremely educational.
Very
And even somebody like Dr. Joy, I think, saw a couple of things when she did it that she was doing wrong. So,
wrong.
and it does
I
mean.
failed, Joy.
I
failed.
Okay. It's great. I'll make it, I actually will share it with the rest of the committee, because I think you'll find it interesting. And Joy, again, has the lead on fashion waste. What can we do in that area? There's a tremendous amount of fast fashion, and I'll leave that topic to you. We also talked about, as another area, reaching out to youth, to try to bring maybe some of these topics to the high schools and perhaps even younger, but also to try to get them involved with our committee. We had some success with that in the Old Solid Waste Committee, and I think there'd be a potential benefit there. Martha, with some assistance with Ray, we're looking to update the community as a communication tool on what's going on with sewerage in town. Not so much interfering with the 5 to 10 year plan that we're already gone through, but there's a lot of new development in town, and one of the things that we hear folks talk about is how are these folks going to be serviced? Are they going to have septic, or I've seen some more exotic systems now, or will they be hooked into public sewerage? So it'll be an opportunity to provide that communication to the town. And then last little thing is under me, I guess, is the waste oil collection program. Where are we going with that? And that's frankly still up in the air. I haven't had a chance to talk to John Trottier directly, but we'll see whether it's going to stay where it's at now, whether we're going to continue to pursue the grant that's out there, or whether we're going to change the program and maybe make it the responsibility of the DPW and see which way to go from there. So we are looking at all the communication tools that have been talked about tonight. Frankly, I think the only approach that's going to reach the masses in town is sort of a shotgun approach, where we put communications in the free newspapers that come to the households. That Joy is going to set up a Facebook page for our solid waste committee. Not so much that we're going to try to drive people to it, although we'll put information on it, but we want to use it so that we can reach out into the individual groups, because we've had previous success doing that. And there are 12 or 15 groups on Facebook right now. And what was the other one, Joy? Twitter?
No.
No.
No. Instagram.
Instagram.
Instagram is what I was
Okay.
thinking. Yeah, not TikTok. Oh,
So
gosh.
we've tasked all the
Not gonna
members,
catch me doing TikTok.
all the members of Sewer and Solid Waste to become Instagrammers. Is that what you call those folks? Just to see if we can broadcast out and use our Facebook or Instagram connections and reach into groups that way. And also we'll look at videos. I think we talked about a video perhaps in the area of composting, and I think we've identified a potential speaker that we could bring in for that topic. So the one thing I think we've sidelined a little bit for future think would be residential composting. At this point, it's just it's not something that even though we have some great examples in a state like Vermont about what you can do, it's not something that's on the immediate horizon here in New Hampshire, so. And that's the truth.
So I found I found the food waste audit very interesting, and I dropped the ball. Joy had asked me to send out the run rules to everybody on the committee, and I didn't see that until it was too late. But would you like to have everybody else on the committee participate
Yeah,
in doing that audit?
I think that would be great. So John's done it for a week. I've done it for a week. I don't know if Martha and you and Ray have some data.
I haven't thrown that much away, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine.
That's a good thing.
No, I mean, just collecting the data. So if everybody on the committee anybody who wants to participate, what we did was we separated out our food waste, and I can send out a link for I'll send out what Renewable takes for their composting, because they actually take a little bit more than what you would put into your home composting. So you could see kind of like the maximum potential that could be gained by this or lost in the landfill waste. But just take it for a week and weigh it. We put it in, we have like compost bags that we put them in. And so I took all the compost bags and put them in a big garbage bag. And my son stood on the thing and, I had him do some little math practice where he subtracted his weight. So it's pretty easy to do. And if we all get some data from that, like John and I had data that was pretty far apart. I mean, you had, I think, like 4 pounds, a little over 4 pounds for 2 people.
You had 4 people.
We had 29 pounds, though. It's still like more per person that we generated. So
Joy, I have to tell you, my wife still doesn't believe that. She thinks she threw one of the kids in there.
I promise we did have a lot of fruit. There was like watermelon stuff in there, so I bet that was why. But that would be great. So if we had that data, then we could just show the averages and report that out to the community. And if we just kind of projected that out, of course it wouldn't be a complete, we can't really say that's an absolute number, but we could project an approximate amount that we could
potential.
save.
Some potential,
Yeah.
right?
Where do you get the composting bags?
We just buy them on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. They're and I think there's only a few brands that are acceptable, but it says in
I've got a couple.
commercial composting facilities.
Also,
And you can tell they break down really fast.
I got,
I don't compost, but maybe we'll start.
So I'll send out the run rules that Joy had sent me. I'll send those out to everybody tomorrow. And I think it's going to be an interesting
Yeah.
set of results we get, I think.
Yeah.
the only question is, how do you had your son, did he stand on, how did he weigh them? How did you
He
do
weighed
that?
himself first,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then he had a garbage bag, and he weighed himself in the bag,
Yeah,
subtracted it out.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's exactly how I
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
So does the test that you're gonna send it, does it include demographic information of how many people are?
Yeah, so that I think is important to collect. I don't think we need any more information. It's
Yeah.
just the weight and the number of people in the household. And that, then we can get kind of a per person.
The adults and
Does that
children?
include dogs?
Yeah, I mean, we could, don't throw dog waste. No, pet waste, pet waste cannot go into the compost. But.
That would make
but-
a difference.
But adults and children might be good information. One of the things that we've been talking about with the committee is, thinking about people who live, who are without children now, or trying to, downsize the amount that they purchase in the first place. Getting that amount right. And so, I think having that information, kids or
Send it around.
adults only. Yeah, that'd be great.
I think we can also learn, let's not be so wasteful.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to disclose right now that when I eat an apple core, I eat the core too. So that's probably gonna screw the whole data, but
Well, we could make some
Doing
other
the seeds
suggestions,
too?
but we're not going there.
We're gonna put an asterisk on the results.
I've heard of that. I've heard people do that.
Fascinating, okay. So the next item is cable and internet, which I don't think we're gonna do anything with that tonight because John's not here. So that brings us to our roundtable discussion. I think that we've pretty much done that very much during this, period, but I will go to each member. Joy, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so I guess I'll bring this up now. Lynn, I had sent to you something about the possibility of having a community kind of workshop thinking through the idea of reducing our use of fossil fuels and what effect that could have on the warming planet. And I don't know if that's something. So there's a program that's been developed that's been in use all over the world where they have the simulation that it's based on the data that's used actually that was used for the Paris Climate Accords, and so they use this every year in negotiations, and it's a good learning tool for the community and a good discussion tool for the community, and it could be used in that manner to so I don't know if that's something that the committee would want to take. I mean, I would be the champion for this, but if we would want to do as a committee to have a community conversation about climate change, about energy use, about policy decisions that are surrounding that. I mean, I know the political climate is not right for it right now, but it's still happening, and doing nothing is a policy choice. And so I don't know if we want to champion that as a discussion so that everybody can have a voice, or anybody that wants to can have a voice.
And you can make it fun, because you can do it in teams.
Yeah, yeah.
So everybody comes up with their own solution, and who causes the most pain and who gets the most carbon out. And
Right,
It can be
right.
fun with kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think something like that as well can be tailored to make it an individual policy choice as opposed to a governmental policy choice. So if you're interested in doing it, here's how you can really see what the impact.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's the thing is that you can, as individuals, we can take whatever we need to from that. It's not something that has to be used as, okay, well, now we're going to go forward and make policy X, Y, and Z. It's for individuals to have an understanding of consequences of actions, and then, okay, what do we do from now? And that could be individual decisions that are made. So yeah.
How would you do that?
So there's a workshop program to learn how to lead these workshops, which is it's a 10-week program. I've done this in classes, but I would take the workshop. So it's like a couple hours a week for 10 weeks. I would take that workshop to get an understanding of how, just like for logistics, how that would work. And then I think come back and say like, okay, this is what I've learned. This is logistically how this kind of thing would be beneficial and would work for everybody to come in as a community and be able to listen, to talk to each other, to have fun with the data. I know that's a nerdy thing to do, but
Let's take a look at it and see where it goes.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
play it on a laptop. It's not demanding. We throw it up there, everybody can see the results at once.
Yeah, exactly. You put it on a big screen and you say like, okay, we wanna stop, we wanna stop deforestation. And so you slide it off to say like, no more deforestation, right? And then you see the effects immediately in the data. So, yeah. Yeah, it's neat.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Paul?
Just a comment, I guess, the future landscape on electric supply, is a little frightening. One manufacturing plant to produce chips for artificial intelligence, one plant will need to power equivalent to what all of New Hampshire and Vermont uses. For one plant.
But 2 gigawatts, right?
Wow.
So, when you think about those kinds of dynamics in the future, where's that power gonna come from and all of, it's, kind of an interesting intellectual game.
Mr. Musk will just prove it.
And I'm not sure that somebody's gonna put the brakes on artificial intelligence right now. I just don't see
No.
that happening, so.
Not at all.
I don't know if this is a cart before the horse situation, but it's kind of a fascinating dynamics that's starting to evolve, which may
Is there,
dramatically change a lot of things.
are there articles that say why that plant uses? What are they doing that uses?
I'm digging into that now to find out the manufacturing process of these chips and all
If
that
you
type of
find out anything, I'd be interested, yeah.
I mean, it's basically, your computer's warm, right? Your desktop, it gets warm.
Yep,
Now multiply that by 10,000, and then, the air
All
conditioning it
working.
takes to
to
cool it.
down.
The clean
Heads up
environment's
quick.
the whole
Yeah.
dynamics of this. That's my comment,
I'm glad I'm old.
something to think about.
Ann?
Well, I was thinking, I happened to see a couple of pieces of federal legislation that one Chris Pappas had sponsored and another one Senator Debbie Dingell had sponsored on PFAS. And I was sort of thinking, well, maybe we could look at that legislation, and neither one of them have passed. And I was thinking it might be useful, maybe Ron and I and anybody else who want to get together could sort of get together, look at those pieces of legislation and see if there aren't some elements in that legislation, even language, that we can use to develop some state legislation.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it would be sort of.
And
a-
Chris is
it's
very
a pretty-
approachable, so we could even give him a call. His office
Yeah.
answers the phone, and so we could even get him involved.
Yeah, I
So
was
he-
just, it's gonna be difficult right now, and I sort of thought if we can put something together, some draft legislation that you or Christine or whoever would
Absolutely.
introduce, if we're not gonna have too much luck on the federal level, maybe we can have a little bit of luck on the state level.
That would be,
Absolutely willing to do that.
Right.
okay, I don't have anything to add tonight.
Just a couple of, couple of things. Number one, we have a new town manager starting June 1st.
Yep.
So look forward to working with him. And we have our town elections coming up on Tuesday of next week, March 11th. And good luck to all the candidates running.
Thank you.
And anybody who
can
happens to see
join
this,
here.
please get out and vote.
I've been bringing bad news all night, so I have a piece of good news. Our, jumping on what Lynn just said, our new town manager isn't just new town manager, he's the former town manager of Lebanon. Lebanon is probably the leading city in New Hampshire for things like energy efficiency and conservation, electric vehicles, land use reform, conservation. I don't know how they managed to catch him, but it's gonna be good for all of us. So welcome, Mr. Town Manager.
That's great.
I agree with what you just said. Yeah, and so that's good. And by the way, we still have a interim town manager. I've had a couple of conversations with him, and I believe he can be of some help to us also.
In the interim,
Because the new town manager probably is not coming until June.
First.
right,
So, you know, he's still here, and I'm fairly certain he's had some conversations with folks.
absolutely.
And so, once again, anybody we can take advantage of, or take, you know, not take advantage of, but that's not the right way.
Cooperate with.
Use them in-
Cooperate with,
Yes.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
we should. And the other thing is, we always have public comment, but nobody shows up. I think we should perhaps, in the paper, whatever,
Yep.
invite somebody to show up.
Yep.
You know, we did have one lady, right, that did come. And speaking of articles in the paper, the Derry News did an article about that. So, yeah, not only the Londonderry Times, but the Derry News, if we can, you know, put things into the paper, let's do that.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm gonna suggest is that we have, how many do we have? 6, 7 state reps in this town?
Yeah. 7.
7.
7.5.
7.5, yeah,
And,
7.
and we also have
Yeah.
Sharon Carson.
Yep.
And I think we could, and maybe we should think about inviting some of the folks. You have already invited Doug Thomas, and who else did you invite? Ron, yeah. So, you know, those other folks are here, they're in this town, they're representing,
Right.
and so,
And they may know about some of these
yeah,
other
and
issues
maybe
that
they
are up there.
have some thoughts, maybe there's some legislation coming up in Concord that maybe they can help us out with.
John?
Two things. I saw a report on WMUR about New Hampshire may stand to lose about $1 billion worth of tourism business out of $7 billion annually due to our lack of EV charging stations in the state, particularly as compared to Maine and Vermont, and certainly Massachusetts. So I actually put this, I think, in an email to you, Lynn, that perhaps we should survey what we've got in our town for EV chargers now and put it on the plate, perhaps of the Energy Committee, to look at EV charging stations, compounded with the fact that we have a Tesla distribution point coming, a dealership coming to town. Maybe we need to explore what are the possibilities there. Should there be public EV stations? Should there be some sort of public-private co-op type program? Or can we encourage private companies to put up more EV charging stations in our town? What
Where
should we
was
do?
the fire that happened with all the Tesla charging stations? Did you see that on
I
the
didn't
news?
see that.
Oh, did anybody see that on the news?
What was it?
That they were,
Not
They
a
were like-
charging station.
Oh,
pardon me?
Not a charging station. I didn't hear about that.
oh, they burned out?
Rebate,
Yeah,
even
that-
the
that
cars
they-
themselves
that
were
they-
having
Pardon?
problems.
No,
That-
no, no,
that
but I
was-
heard that there was vandalism and they set,
Yeah, they set 'em on fire.
chargers on fire.
Wow.
And I don't know whether it happened in New Hampshire or where. I heard,
I think
know-
it might have been Mass, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Might have
I
been Norway.
might have heard it on Mass Station.
Right, and there was just a thing about somebody down in Brookline, Mass, putting decals, Elon Musk decals on all the Teslas in town,
Oh,
marking
geez.
them up and stuff, so.
Okay,
Okay.
We all have our opinions about Elon Musk.
Whatever, I
No,
don't
no.
have an
Providing
opinion.
All right.
information.
Are any of the
When the
current,
public isn't present, it's amazing what we'll drop into.
Yep,
So moving off of politics, the other thing I suggest, I've had some conversations with our town engineer about waste management and meeting with them, and in place of meeting with them, I sort of received a long letter, okay? I think, if I recall, they're our third or fourth largest expenditure in town, something along those lines.
it's our largest non-personnel expenditure.
Okay, that's great. Probably one of our largest vendors. Okay. And it might not be a bad idea for a larger title than solid and sewer, and I have to remember a title, sewer and solid waste chairman, to invite them to come to the utility committee and meet us. So if
Yeah.
you, when you're inviting folks, I know we're gonna have all of Ron's state reps here, maybe we could have waste management be the next guy on the agenda.
Sure.
can I ask what you expect to learn from them?
I would like to learn anything. As far as I'm concerned, even after 4 years on solid waste, I don't know anything about their company and what they do, other than we have 2 programs with them that I'm aware of. They pick up our trash and they pick up our commingled recycling. And I'd like to really talk about the fact that they can do and make money, I would presume, doing residential composting in Vermont, and they can't seem to figure out a way to make money in the rest of the world. And what do they need to happen? I think we'll hear we'll get educated, because I think one of the things you need to have happen is, Ron, at the state level, somebody has to pioneer the fact that composting is a good way for the state to not have to build additional landfills.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
By the way, talking about trash, we also have in Londonderry, which used to be Charlie George on 102, that is now Wind Recycle or whatever. The headquarters, or their local headquarters is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They're also associated with Waste Management. And they are very much interested in recyclables. Okay, and you have to realize that these trash companies don't consider trash trash. They either consider it a source of energy to burn, or the recyclables they see as a value. You know, so we can learn from them. I'm not sure locally with this wind.
They're not, we deal with them a little bit on the beautified Londonderry side. They are not into the residential business. They're more into the commercial side of things. Although they do what you said, they do recycling, for example, at Gillette Stadium.
Okay, Ron?
So John is still working on the best way to communicate with you guys the bills. So while he's still working on that process, if anybody wants me to follow a bill, I'd be happy to bring it to this committee and tell you where it's at, when it's gonna meet, what's happening with it. If anybody would like that, I'd be happy to do that. If you wanna just send me an email or send it through Lynn, whatever you prefer, I'd be happy to track it manually for this committee. John is working hard to get us a program where we can communicate together.
Yep.
But it's just not ready yet. So if anything, I'm willing to do the work manually if anyone has anything they want me to follow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ron, can I just ask, does the effort to get rid of the renewable portfolio standard, does that have any legs?
It passed the House, and it'll go to the Senate in April. I think you and I talked about it a little bit. You know what? When Doug gets here, I'll ask Doug to speak to that, because Doug is kind of much more of an expert on that than I am. But I think there's the attitude toward wind has shifted.
No, not talking wind
Oh,
now.
okay. Oh,
Renewable portfolio standard, the requirement, that each producer of electricity has to have X% of it be from renewable sources.
okay.
That's the one, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Then I will follow up with Doug when I get him to come here. I'll have him speak to that. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Okay, still no one in the room, so, public comment, there won't be any. And our next meeting is Tuesday, April 1st. That's April Fool's Day, so nobody come with any jokes. We're a serious committee. And with that, anything else that you have to add, Lynn?
Nope.
Okay, then we are adjourned at,
I think you need a motion for that, Madam Chair.
So moved.
this is what happens when you're very naive and doing your first
I
meeting.
know there's an effort within the executive branches.
Okay, stop. Okay,
Motion, I'll
I'd
second.
like to have a motion to,
So moved.
Lynn,
I'll second it.
Lynn will second, okay. Thank you. With that,
All in favor?
Then you have to vote.
All in favor?
all in favor?
Get the gavel. Look out, Lynn.
Gavel.
You got the gavel.
There you go.